my husband and I are at our wits' end with our son's inability to move on from his high school girlfriend. They broke up back in 2011. Yes, it's been that long since he last saw her. They dated for about 2 years, and when he went off to college, she stayed behind. They tried to make it work, but eventually, she started dating someone else while still with him. At least she had the decency to end things in person and admitted she should have broken up with him before starting a new relationship. Still, he was devastated, and we did our best to support him through her. I thought he might eventually move on, but then she married the new guy almost immediately. I believe he was in the military, which often leads to quick marriages. This news sent our son into a downward spiral that has lasted for 14 years. Back then, I figured the marriage wouldn't last long and that he'd feel some sense of vindication when it ended. But here we are all these years later, and he still checks her social media regularly, despite our strong advice against it. They're still married and have kids now. Over the years, our son has had a few girlfriends, but none of those relationships lasted long. Even when he's been involved with someone, he still talks about how wronged he was. We see him frequently, and while his ex isn't our only topic of conversation, she seems to come up almost every time we get together. Honestly, we know more about her life now than we did when they were dating. We've let him vent, but we eventually had to set some boundaries around the language he used to describe her. He had a few choice words that I really didn't like, but to his credit, he stopped using them around us. Still, I can't help but wonder if he just stopped saying them in our presence. We try to employ a nod and agree, then change the subject tactic, but it feels like he can't resist bringing her up. This past weekend, things came to a head. Our son made an offhand comment about his ex, and my husband snapped. He shouted at our son to get over it already, saying we were sick of hearing about a girl he dated over a decade ago. I quickly asked my husband to step into another room to cool off. Once he left, I suggested to our son that if he couldn't move past this, we could help him find some therapy or intervention. He didn't take it well and left immediately. Since then, he hasn't responded to any of my texts or calls. I wish my husband hadn't shouted, but I understand his frustration. This has gone on for far too long, and we've enabled this behavior. I can't help but wonder if he would still be bringing her up if we had set firmer boundaries earlier. Whenever we've challenged him about his ex or their relationship, he's become very upset, so we defaulted to letting him vent. I suspect he's just been stalking her social media, and it feels unhealthy. I think he might need some kind of intervention. I hope he comes around soon, but I'm unsure how to approach the topic again without further upsetting him.